Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to you at last. I am Stylosa, and this is going to be an Overwatch support group video. So the very first thing I want you guys to do right now, before you go on and watch the rest of this video, because I am about to list what my sort of main issues are with the game at the moment, I want you guys to go into the comments below and give me yours straight away before listening to what I'm about to say. Right, guys, that's the crucial thing, because I don't want you to be swayed by what I'm going to say. Now, the whole purpose of this video is to just lay bare like our concerns with the game. This isn't about bashing heroes. This isn't about bashing the game or anything like that. What this is about is having like a mature conversation about things that are happening in the game, which maybe we don't agree with, or I don't agree with, or you guys don't agree with, depending on, like, you know, your point of view, and then sort of discussing them. Because Overwatch isn't the perfect game. It'll never be the perfect game, and this is part and parcel of what's going on, right? It's an evolving beast. Things will change over time. Now, also, we are on the verge of BlizzCon, so there is potential for a lot of very crazy announcements to come out of BlizzCon. Like, obviously, we hope we get a new support healer, and we hope we get other bits and pieces beyond them focusing too heavily on, like, Overwatch League, for example, because I think while Overwatch League is great, that's not really what most of the player base care about, to be honest. Anyway, let's get stuck into this. So these are, these are my issues with the game at the moment, right? So recycled events, the random nature of competitive, wild hero reworks, punishment system, no MMR reset, although MMR reset is an interesting one, one-trick rewards, anti-team win rewards, babysitting one-trick and toxic players, average SR gain system, no guild system, lack of main support heroes, and a map ban system, right? They are the problems I've got with the game. So what I'm going to do is break them down, right? So the first one is recycled events. Now, I know for a fact, yeah, that people will come back for an event, right? Or they will get hyped around what could this event possibly be? Well, of course, now we know what most of the events will be, possibly with the exception of the PvE event. So obviously this year we had Uprising. Next year we'll probably have some different kind of event. If they bring Uprising back, that would be honestly horrifically like the worst decision ever. Anyway, the last two events we've had have been basically recycled. Summer Games and Junkenstein's Revenge, or the Halloween Terror. Those events have had basically the same brawl, and the brawl is the main attraction. Yes, I know there's skins, and yes, I know skins drive loot box sales and all of that stuff, so more money for Blizzard. The skins are fantastic. I mean, the skins in the current event right now are ridiculously good. The Summer Games had really good skins as well, so the skins are always there. Blizzard are always delivering on the skins, but what we've got in terms of the brawl is it's just the same thing. So players are going to come back and be like, oh, it's the same thing, and then just leave. You know, they're not going to be interested. So that worries me. Like, I almost feel like Blizzard have really missed a trick here with these last two events. I mean, obviously they can bring this back and they could put more of a focus on events in the future, seasonal events in the future, and especially on the Brawl. But all throughout last year, when we had no idea what these events were, there's all the speculation leading up to the event, there's all the community hype, then there's like the event drops, and then we're exploring the event, we're working out what, you know, how to play Lucio Ball, how to play Junkenstein's Revenge, and then we fast forward to next year, and they're just the same events again, and it's like, well, actually, this is kind of putting a bit of a downer on it. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I am a little bit disappointed, and what makes it a little bit like sour for me, especially with Junkenstein's Revenge, is we've seen the sort of mini comic they put out. In fact, I made a video on this on the channel where it had the Genji skin, which we didn't get, but that clearly looked like this was supposed to be a different type of event with different heroes. Now, it might not have been, but that seems oddly strange that they would focus on different heroes in that comic, and then actually Junkenstein's Revenge is the same event. It was a little bit of a downer. Anyway, let's move on. Random nature of competitive. Now, this is a massive one, but I don't want to spend like an hour talking about this, because you guys know what's going on with this. If you follow me on Twitter, which if you don't, check me out, I'm at UnitLostGaming. I put a little video up there where I'm rolling dice, going, oh, live Overwatch gameplay competitive, and I throw some dice and I'm like, oh, I've lost. What I'm trying to say there is, when you go into competitive, you don't know if you're going to be in a team, or you're going to be matched with players that will be capable of forming a team. Now, you will be matched with players of similar skill, so all the players will be good in the game. The thing is, you don't know if you're going to get multiple support mains, multiple tank players, multiple DPS players, or just loads of DPS players, no tank players. This happens all the time, and it's very, very frustrating, because you are pressing the play competitive button and literally hoping that you get a team that works. And if you do get a team that works, more often than not, you will win the game. And a team that works is basically a tank and two supports most of the time. If you've got that and the rest are DPS, you generally win the game. And that's not really that fun, because it starts to get into this sort of mode of it is just random. You know, you're just like, okay, I hope I get a good team. Oh, well, I didn't get a good team this time. We lose the game. Oh, well, I didn't get a good team this time. We lose the game. Oh, well, oh, I got a good team. We win the game. And that's not what this game should be about. It should be about going in with a team to begin with and then trying your best to beat the enemy. It has been a very long time since I've had one of those awesome games on Overwatch where it's mega close. Both teams are going back at it, and it's super close, and you get those awesome moments where, like, maybe you come through with a victory, or maybe you even lose the game, but it kind of doesn't matter. The worst defeats in this game, or should I say most defeats in this game, are on the hero select screen. When you log in, 5 DPS insta-log-in or something crazy, it's like, oh, dearie me, this is not great. You know, we're now going to lose the game. But this happens all of the time, and it's so frustrating. So that needs to be sorted out. But we already know they don't like role select systems. So, you know, my idea of the guild system, which we'll get onto a bit later on in this video, I made an entire video on that, actually. So I won't go into too much detail on it. But I think things like that could potentially help us form teams before we go into competitive. Because, you know, with Junkenstein's Revenge, the best thing about that is you can join in the game, right? And if somebody's got Soldier 76 and I want to play Soldier 76, I can just leave the game and then press play again and go straight into another game until I find a game where everybody else is playing the heroes and I can play Soldier or Anna or whatever hero I want to play. And then it's a much more fun experience because everybody is playing the hero they want to play. You get what I'm saying? And also, it's not really a fair comparison because League is a totally different game. I played League last night for the first time in literally like 4 years, right? It's been a very long time since I played it. I believe, this is a recent thing they've got, but they've got the role select system. So I went into competitive, not a great idea because I'm horrifically bad at the game because I haven't played it for ages and ages and ages. But I got mid and I got to play Ari in 3 games that I played. That's the hero that I played back in the day. So I got to do that. Like in Overwatch, if I want to play Mercy, but I go into a game and somebody's got Mercy, then I'm like, what the hell? You know, I want to play. That's a problem. You see what I'm saying, guys? That's a problem. Anyway, let's move on. Wild Hero reworks. Now, on paper, these are okay because they fix issues. So obviously Mercy is the big one, right? Totally revamped hero, completely changed. Diva is more of a minor rework, but it's still a heavy rework. Now, this got me thinking, right? While I look at these hero changes and think, okay, Mercy, yes, that was an interesting one to do at the time. Diva, yeah, that's great because Defense Matrix wasn't great. But imagine if these were heroes that I played myself, right? And I invested hundreds of hours into, well, like I have, into Soldier 76, and then suddenly Blizzard were like, oh, you know what? We're going to give him a shotgun. Now, they would never do that, right? But imagine if they did that. It would be like, whoa, what the hell? This is my hero. So I get where a lot of people come from when it's like, oh, you've changed my hero. What's going on? I think as well, it's interesting for me because I like to commentate on the game and what's happening. So when I look at Mercy changes and I start discussing them, I see it like literally thousands of comments of people. And it's like, oh, you know, oh, you're bashing my hero. But that's never my intent. But I can see why people come across that way because it's almost like, well, my hero's been changed. I liked it before. Why the hell has Blizzard like radically changed this hero? It kind of doesn't make sense. And you don't really see this that often in other games as well, especially like MOBAs are probably the best comparison to this, but you don't see wild hero reworks constantly. So it is like, in one way worrying, but in another way it is a positive because they are trying to address problems with the game. So I don't know, there's pros and cons for that. Obviously, the con is if your hero gets drastically changed to the point where you don't know what the hell's going on with the hero anymore, then that's going to be a bit of a problem. Punishments. Now, punishments. It's meant to be more severe this year. All I can say is you always need to report people when they're bad. I say this season. When they're toxic, when they throw or whatever. I do this quite a lot, like a hell of a lot. And I've never received an email saying, oh, your results or your actions have resulted in a ban of a player, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for helping the community. I've never seen that. So I don't know what's going on with that stuff. I feel like the game still is very toxic in a sense where, you know, people don't get their hero, again, because of the reasons I discussed at the start of this video with random competitive nature and all that stuff. Then they become sort of tilted as they go into the game and the problems just get worse and worse and worse. And then, of course, you get people that just, as soon as you lose the first team fight, are like, well, whatever, screw this. I'm just going to throw the game because that's better than me actually trying because we're never going to win this game because, oh, no, we lost the first team fight. Like, crazy stuff like that is annoying and these players need to be sort of got rid of, but I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know if the system's banning more people or whatever. We need more stats off Blizzard for that. So that is an issue for me. I don't know what the hell is going on with the punishment system. No MMR reset. Now, this is a very contentious issue. Now, what this would do, and I'm pretty sure Blizzard would never do this, but if you reset everybody's MMR at the start of a season, the first week of that season would be horrifically bad. Because imagine if you've got all these pro games, like basically everybody goes down to 0 SR, let's say, right? And you go and do your placement games, and then it starts to try and work out where you need to be placed, right? It's not going to place you back into like Grandmaster or whatever, because it's not looking at your previous season's history, which this season was actually quite interesting. I didn't perform that well in my placement games, yet it put me at almost 4.2k. I was like, all right, well, that's pretty good, right? Because that's kind of where I wanted to play around anyway. The previous seasons, it put me at like 3.7, 3.8k, and I'd have to spend like 2 or 3 weeks literally trying to get back up into GM because of like all the other issues with competitive. Eventually, once I got there, then I'd sort of end the season around that level. So for it to just put me straight in, it did feel better. But the idea of an MMR reset would get rid of all this history and just allow everybody to start from fresh again. Even things like deleting your profile, I think, would be interesting, because a lot of people are shoehorned into playing certain heroes. I'm guilty of this myself. I totally hold my hands up. When I look at like a support player's profile, and maybe they're playing like a Widowmaker, but I look at their profile and I can see they've got loads of time on Lucio and Mercy. I'm thinking, what is this guy doing? He's throwing the game. But maybe that guy actually is good at Widowmaker, yeah? And I don't know this, but I'm only looking at the stats. So that, you know, the ability to remove those stats might actually be a positive as well. So MMR resets, yeah, like I don't think that's going to generally happen. I would like a clean slate. I think this just is like human nature, right? Everyone would like a clean slate at some point, but I think it would just throw the system into too much disarray. So I've kind of debunked my own sort of problem there. But can you guys see where I'm coming at? One trick rewards and anti-team win rewards. I'm going to put these two together because one trick rewards, this is basically if you play one hero, and I guess we can throw average SR gain system into this as well. When you play one hero, you become better with that hero, right? Because you're getting more experience on the hero. So you become ultimately better than the average player. So you earn basically more SR after a win, because the way the system works, I mean, I know you guys know that you guys know, but just for like a quick recap, is when you win a game, it bases your performance on your hero against everybody else in the same MMR range as you playing that hero. So if you're like, let's say the average soldier eliminations is 30, but you get 50 in a game, then obviously you've performed better. So the system will think, actually, let's give them a bit more SR for that win. So what that means is it's better for me to stay on soldier constantly, because yes, maybe I'll do more. Well, I'll do more work on soldier than I would, let's say, on a like a Widowmaker. But if we needed a Widowmaker for whatever reason to win that round, I'd be less inclined to play the Widow, because even if we lose, I'm not going to lose as much because my performance on soldier is okay. Yeah, that's the problem with this kind of SR average gain system, like with it comparing to people that are not actually in your game. Now, in terms of anti-team rewards, win rewards, again, that's with the SR system, right? So if I know we need to, like, say we've got like a cheese comp on Numbani, and I need to play Torbjorn, but I hardly play Torbjorn. In fact, that's actually kind of a bit of a lie. I do play quite a bit of Torb, but imagine if I had to play Torbjorn, right? But I didn't want to play Torb because I'm like, if we lose, I'm going to lose so much SR because I'm not that great with Torbjorn, right? So I'm just going to play Soldier, which is fine, but it's not really going to work too well with the comp, and then we end up losing the game. Then maybe I lose 19 SR, right? But if I was playing Torb, I might lose 25, 26, 27 SR or whatever, for example, because I don't have any good stats with that hero. So that kind of promotes like an anti-team win vibe, because you're almost looking after yourself and you think, screw it, I don't want to play this hero. I want to play what I want to play, so whatever. Now, like, one trick rewards, again, just ties into what I've just said, right? Is you are looking at a case of, if you play on one hero in this game right now, which is Overwatch, which is a team-based shooter where you're supposed to work together to complete team-based objectives, if you just mute all voice comms, if you sit down and you play your hero that you've played forever and a day because you're good with that hero, then the system will actually reward you more, right? It don't make any sense, and I don't like that. I think the only way to fix this is to go into a system where everyone gets the same for wins and losses, but the problem with that system is you're going to get players who get stuck in certain level ranges. Like, if I lose a lot of games and it puts me down, let's say, I don't know, let's say it puts me into Diamond, right? Because I've lost a shed load of games. And then I only get 20 SR per win. I'd have to win so many games to get back up into where I belong. It'd be ridiculous. Whereas if I started to win games, the system knows that actually that's a better player. So it gains more SR faster and quickly starts to adjust. So you can see from both sides of the argument, like, there are positives and negatives for that type of system. But right now, the game does really reward you just being like a lone gun in a team-based game. And that doesn't really make any sense. No guild system. Now, I made an entire video on this, so I'm not really going to go into too much detail on this, but I suggest you guys go and check that video out. I just think ways in which we could get groups of players together inside the game that doesn't necessarily rely on external applications. I mean, I've got a very large Discord server, and there are multiple channels in there for LFG on different platforms, so you can go in there and find people to play the game with. But I think it just... having like an in-game system where you can see everybody's sort of profile history, which you kind of can at the moment, right? But imagine if they were grouped together and you could sort of go into like form a competitive team really quick. So you've got your 2 supports, your 2 tanks, your 2 DPS or whatever you want to roll with, and then you just go into a game. That type of system would promote more 6 stacks in the game, so you'd have more of a chance of coming against the 6 stack, and I think it would just make for a better game. So I can always keep saying, right, the best moments I've ever had playing this game was in a full team when we were playing in amateur tournaments. It was so much fun. If they could replicate that in the game, that would be beautiful. Lack of main support heroes. Now, this is something I'm hoping gets fixed at BlizzCon. We've only got 2 main supports in this game, and only one of them is viable at the moment, and that's Mercy. So if you're an Ana player like me, right? So I play Ana. I don't play Mercy. So I don't ever play Ana. Like this season, and even last season, I haven't played much Ana because she's not that effective. And it's kind of a worry, right? When heroes like that just get completely removed from the game, especially heroes that are unique in the sense that they're the only ones that provide a lot of healing. So there's tons of issues with this, right? So we need more supports in the game. We need something to change up maybe the way the game is so barrier heavy. I don't know. Like, again, this is more of like a personal rant because, yes, I do like to play Ana, and yes, Ana's not really that viable at the moment. But we just need more supports anyway, because right now we've got way too many offensive heroes. We've got tanks, we've got defensive heroes, which are basically offensive heroes with like the exception of like Symmetra, but Symmetra's not even classed as a defensive hero, she's a support hero, so none of it even really makes any sense. But basically there's more heroes in this game that kill the enemy than ones that are concerned with keeping the heroes alive, and we need more of those players. Like more options for those players, yeah? We need to convince DPS players to play supports. We need to convince tanks to maybe play supports as well. And like this needs to work both ways as well, but I always feel that the game is more heavily tilted towards DPS players. Now, I might be totally wrong, but I sort of get the impression that DPS players never really want to play support. So if there was a way of making them play support, then that's something that needs to happen, right? At least that's the way I think, right? Anyway, map ban system. This is the final thing, and this again is something that might happen in the future when we've got loads of maps. But the reason why this frustrates me is I play a lot of Overwatch, right? Because I'm an idiot, and it's basically my job, right, to play Overwatch. So I play loads and loads of Overwatch, and I'll be looking at like days where I'll go into Hanamura, Horizon Lunar Colony, insert any other kind of assault map here, like, and I'm like, oh my god, like, I don't want to play on these maps, right? Then I get like a King of the Hill map, so I'm like, oh, I'm on Nepal, I quite like Nepal, so oh, this is great, I'm going to play it. Then I get King's Row, oh, that's great, and then we go back to Hanamura or some other map, and I'm like, it kind of like, I know this is part of the game, and again, this actually goes back to like one of the first points I made, was like the random nature of competitive, right? The map is random, so you will get maps where if you get a lot of Horizon Lunar Colony, on the first point, it's generally quite easy to cheese. So you could, in theory, get players that get this map more often than others and then cheese their way kind of up the ranks a little bit more than other players that can't sort of break through it and all of that stuff. But I think this is more, again, just like a personal rant. There are maps in this game that I really like that I could just play forever and a day. It reminds me of like Counter-Strike. I just play on Dust and Dust 2 like all the time. And Office, right? That's literally all I'd play. Loads of maps in the game. I didn't care about those maps. Those were the maps that I played. And I'd do the same thing with Overwatch. Now, I know Blizzard want us to play all of their maps. You know, they put a lot of effort into these maps. But there are, like, stupid things, like Junkertown, right? I think this map is actually really good, right? It's really good for Soldier, right? And you guys know I play a lot of Soldier. But I have played on this map maybe 4 times since it launched, if that. It might even be 3 times since the map launched. That's crazy. Like, that's absolutely crazy. That's because there's too many maps in the game anyway. So I'm playing on all these other maps. I don't really get to see the new content. So when new maps get added to the game now, it's very weird. Like, it's very rare that you see them. Now, I don't know whether Blizzard should, like, increase the frequency they get thrown out, you know, in the matchmaker or whatever. But it doesn't seem that way to me. Like I said, I've hardly played on Junkertown, so even when I get into games on the map, people are still not actually sure what the hell we should be doing on Junkertown, which is crazy. It's like, well, we don't know what we're doing. We're just sort of running around, you know. Oh, there's actually a flank route there. People, you know, fall across. It's like, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a pretty long video. It has been a bit of a rant, to be honest, but this has just been a support group for Overwatch, because what I'm going to do now is go and read all the comments below that you guys have left. Remember, the point of this video was just to sort of air your concerns with the game. It's not to bash heroes. It's not to, you know, be toxic or negative or whatever. What are your main problems with this game right now? Let me know in the comments below, because it's going to be very interesting to read this back after BlizzCon to see if they've actually fixed any of these issues, or maybe given us different ways to look at the game. I don't know. Guys, I've been SSATAIII. This is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video and then like the video, you can subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter as well, which is @UnitLostGaming. And why don't you join the Discord, which is discord.gg/UnitLost, where you can join groups and take part in the wonderful discussion about Overwatch. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Toodaloo.